Hi everyone, this is a quick guide on how to do the new secret hard mode of the Captain Vor boss fight. This fight is available on Steel Path and was introduced with the Isleweaver update. The first 5 minutes of this video will be me getting to the boss fight and how to unlock it. The next 7 minutes are me fighting the boss, and the last 3 minutes are the build I used. Doing this boss fight, the rewards you can get the new Janus Key Sumdali decoration for your landing craft, and if you beat the fight solo with 6 particular Warframes, you can earn their Accolade glyphs. Those Warframes are Atlas, Chroma, Citrine, Hildryn, Khora, and Limbo. Going into the video now, we have launching into Tolstoj on Mercury here. Of course, we're doing Steel Path, so we can get the Steel Path hard mode version of this fight and get the hard mode all activated. Now, jumping in here, you'll see pretty quickly that I've switched to my operator. The reason why is you actually need to use your operator to activate the hard mode boss fight. You'll see here I have found this little glowy glyphs things in the corner. You can notice that when I'm not in my operator, I cannot see them. But while you're an operator, you have a prompt to collect glyphs. There are 4 of these leading up to the boss fight. But a little bit of a tip and something I found helpful is that you don't really need all 4. You can manage with 3. You can kind of brute force the code at the end here. And I've honestly never found all 4. I'm not the best at looking for everything. I don't know where everyone is located, but I'm pretty good at finding 3 of them. So these glyphs are just scattered around on the way to the boss fight. They do not seem to be inside rooms from what I can tell. They seem to be on your main rooms you pass through following your waypoint. But you kind of just got to look all over, just look for a blue glow. This does take me a little bit longer than I'd like. I've had better luck, I've had worse luck trying to get this done. But check kind of all around. Sometimes they're in these areas with hidden caches, you know. But sometimes they're really obvious. It just kind of depends on your layout. But just give a quick glance over and you can find them pretty fast. This 3 minutes to activate the boss fight isn't the best, but you'll kind of see where I'm going here throughout the maps, just giving it a quick once-over. There is another one I found, so go ahead and collect that glyph there too. That's 2 of the 3 I'm going to get. I will not get all 4 during this run. But just keep your eyes open. Should be not too hard to find them all. If it's really bugging you, if you can only find 2, you know, if you get 4, if you're really lucky, but if you're really having a hard time, you can just reset the mission. It's not that big of a deal. I believe I passed by one here and actually kind of get near the exit before I come back to this room and find that 3rd one that I need to activate it. Yeah, because you'll see here is, important note, that door is to the boss fight, and the reason I turned around is you actually need to activate something before you go through that door. Don't go through that door after you've collected the glyphs. You actually need to activate a panel with the glyphs you're collecting before you go through the door to the boss fight. And still just kind of, you know, running around like a chicken with my head cut off here, but I do eventually find, I believe it's in this room, I find my 3rd set of symbols. Actually, no, it is in the previous room here. So I did have to backtrack and come back to this room in order to find my last set of symbols. There can be multiple symbols in sets of symbols in one room, but right there, you know, so it's just behind a pillar. I barely missed it, but now I've gotten the 3 I need. Again, there are 4, but you can make do with 3 by brute forcing the code. And I'll explain the code once we get there. You know, I'm just heading straight towards it now. And so that's the door to the boss fight, but the code switch is here on your left. When you activate this hacking console, you'll notice that there are 5 slots for glyphs. Each of these slots will have a unique glyph. There are no repeating ones. And the more glyphs you collect on your way here, it kind of gives you little pieces of the code. And it will tell you the 2 that are next to each other for each set you get. So you can kind of see in the top left that I have a tornado-looking thing along with a 696. That's what I'd call them. The next one you'll notice it has a kind of D and B symbol next to the tornado. And then the last one you kind of have an upside-down heart and looks like 666 to me. Now what's important to notice about this is none of these symbols repeat, so that tornado you see is on 2 of my sets. But because we know there's only 1 tornado, we know that it has to be that DB symbol, then the tornado, and then the 696. Those will go in order. And you'll kind of see that as I'm hacking here. And now that I've gotten rid of that duplicate tornado here, I've noticed that, hey, it shows me combined, like, hey, that's the right 3 order for those. And I have 2 symbols left of the set I've given. I've got that upside down heart and 666, and I know those will go in the last 2 slots. Coming up to the boss here, I am using the Ladum. That is going to be my only source of damage for this fight. I don't use my melee or primary. I'm just building up some headshots real quick before I head on in. And you got Captain Vor here. I mean, once that terminal is hacked, you know that you have done it correctly. And what you're going to see me doing here is just kind of trying to deal with his attacks, and we'll go into the build more at the end. But I'm letting the Ladum do the work here, and I'm mostly using a combination of Protective, Sling, and Rolling Guard to help me out here, along with Arcane Aegis. But again, we'll get more to that at the end of the video. Focusing on his attacks here, what we have is he throws out a lot of grenades, a lot of electric procs are going on. Later on you'll have magnetic. The first part isn't as bad, because you're not really getting your abilities disabled, you're not getting everything, you know, turned off for you. You can transfer to operator pretty easily. The main thing you want to do is focus on just staying alive more than anything for this boss fight. You don't have to, you know, DPS him as fast as possible. You want to focus on your health bar. Anytime your shields go down, anytime you're getting a little bit low or anything, you want to kind of back off, you know, transfer to your operator. Protective Sling helps a ton with that. Rolling Guard helps a ton with that. Just gives you some breathing room. And just DPS where you can. Don't focus on just damage, focus on survivability. Ladum again doing crazy work here because it's, you know, one of the best secondaries in the game. I would say the best. But I'm just chipping down at him, you know. If you can get some status effects on him to prevent his shield from regenning, that's great. Just try and get him where you can. If you're also farther away from him, you can see a little marker on where he is on the map. That's helpful to me because sometimes with all the visual effects going on, it can get a bit, you know, lost for where you're actually trying to shoot at. And for that first phase, you notice that as soon as I got that first fourth of his health bar down, he spawned some adds. They are all Xmas units, but they shouldn't be too hard compared to the fight itself. After you get them down, it's just more jumping around down here, DPSing him. He seems to throw in a few more AoE attacks, but not too many. First half of the fight's a lot easier than the second half. The transition point here is going to be some parkour. In these hallways, I would recommend don't worry too much about you know, bolt jumping as fast as you can through them. Just kind of take them one at a time as you go. You'll see a few mess ups here. I get pretty close on that first attempt, but I get it the second attempt. There's only 2 of these hallways. You know, you just slide under or find the one hole you can get. I think I mess up a couple times here, but we get in the end. I would also recommend at the very end of the hallway, wait for one last one to spawn, because I have jumped into that last spawning wall too many times. It's very frustrating. So you'll notice I take a pause here, see what that last one is, jump over it, and we're through. Now this is where it gets a little bit more tricky, and again, my advice goes double here. You're focusing on survivability, you're not focusing on dealing damage. These platforms they will make the majority of them have damaging electric procs and magnetic procs on them, turning off your abilities, just really destroying your shield, getting rid of your health faster than you would like. Having Hildryn and having Arcane Aegis gives me a lot of breathing room. I've done this on Atlas as well. That was a lot tougher. Had to rely a lot more on parkouring wherever I could and avoiding the procs and healing up where I could. But with Hildryn, I have a little bit more breathing room. But your main focus here should be just trying to damage the boss while finding the platforms that are not electrified. Another bonus tip here is you'll notice that sometimes there are yellow orbs around. You can see it on this platform. I just shot one down. You can shoot down the orbs that he is summoning above the platforms. If the platform itself is electrified, you don't want to stand there, you don't want to mess with it, but if you just see an orb floating above it, you want to shoot that down and prevent it from spawning these little seekers. This is an instance where I got a magnetic proc, so I just kind of backed off. I did Protective Sling when I could, got my shields back up, and went back to DPSing. Shot the orbs down where I could, and jumped off platforms as soon as I noticed them being electrified. Slow and steady still wins the race here. Ladum doing work, you know, avoiding the platforms, rinse and repeat. I'm repeating myself here. He will teleport between platforms quite a bit. It's annoying to get him pinned down. The AoE on the Ladum helps with that. Anything with AoE, but you know, to build it up, of course, you have to get headshots. That can be a little tough to do. But keep jumping around, you should be fine. And here I'm just getting my headshots up. He does stand still and use his Janus Key to fire a beam straight upwards sometimes. That gives you a little bit more room to just, you know, DPS him, get headshots, all that fun stuff. You will have some times where the platforms go down and you aren't afforded as much breathing room as you may like. But here I was just able to get my headshots in, still getting that charged up Ladum. And your transition point here gives you 2 cannon batteries to shoot down. Not too bad. I've never really had to worry about being DPS by them. Vor himself is much more dangerous. Got that all finished, and then we are back to DPSing, more protective sling, more rolling guard, in order to just get some invincibility frames so I can get some solid DPS in. If you're lucky, you'll stand more still on one platform. I get some pretty good shots in on him. And this is just, you know, more that third phase we were just doing. Same thing, jumping around, DPSing. I'm sure you could get them done faster, but with how long it takes to get those glyphs in the beginning, and how annoying it is to just have everything reset, playing for your life is a smart bet. It's endurance more than it is, you know, trying to speed through it, for me at least. And this is just the way I was able to get everything done. Might cut here just to the end of the boss fight, because points have been made. You know, you've seen the beams up in the air, you've seen the magnetic procs, you've seen everything you can really throw at you, and from there it's just being careful. It's also hard to go wrong with Virulent Heat. Virulent Heat has been good for a long time. It remains to be good. And there he goes, finally down. So get that all taken care of. Got my Hildryn Accolade glyph. You'll see that at the very end here. We'll show the finished screen, and then get the build and show kind of what kind of cheese I'm doing to survive here. Hildryn in particular, I think, is going to be one of the easiest, just because of Arcane Aegis with that massive shield pool. You know, you're going to be regenerating a lot. You've noticed my health bar there. Just filling itself back up constantly. But let's jump to the builds here. There are 4 essential pieces I use in this build. It's going to be Hildryn, it's going to be the Ladum, it's going to be Viserion as my focus school, and it's going to be my companion. We are starting with Hildryn here, and I will open up the mods. You can see some usual suspects. You can see Aegis, you can see redirection for as much shield as possible and as much shield regen as possible. I did have Molt Augmented equipped here, but I'm equipping Nullifier instead. That way I can keep all of my shields. When I get hit by those procs, it does still deactivate me from using my abilities, but it won't, you know, remove all of my health on Hildryn. I'm also swapping out Intensify here, because I'm not using many abilities, for Rolling Guard. Rolling Guard will give me those 3 seconds of invincibility every 7 seconds and remove status effects. It is a great survival tool. I recommend it on any of the Warframes you're trying to do this with. And I also have Adaptation here, because it's not going to be the biggest thing in the world, but it will help with the more procs I'm getting, the more damage I take from electric or magnetic. It builds up a immunity to that. I also have Prime Sure Footed to prevent Ladum from knocking myself down. Here I have the build for the Ladum. Obviously this isn't for my survivability, this is for taking down the boss. At the beginning of this footage you see that I have a Riven on here, but I do take this off. I want this guide to be for anyone. Rivens are, you know, very random, especially a negative crit Riven is going to be very rare for the Ladum. I'm not going to expect you to have that. I'm going to be swapping that off, and I'm going to just be putting a little bit of punch through and crit damage on that with Merciless Gunfight. Not necessary to have that Riven at all. I was a bit of a dummy here, tried to put it on without the capacity, but obviously I work it around and get it put into the build there. Viserion here, the main thing I want is Protective Sling. That gives me 5 seconds of just free invincibility. Just, you know, good breathing room with everything that's going in the fight. You want to exploit where you can, just being invincible. With my companion, there are a couple of useful mods. The main ones are Guardian and Negate. The reason we're going with Worm is for Negate, just turns off status effects, you know, turns off electric procs, helps you out with just not dying, gives you some more time to think. A lot of this is doable without these protective effects, but really this just prevents you from running around as much, gives you your invincibility frames, it makes it a little bit more cozy. It's doable without, but you are going to be spending more time running away, more time paying attention to what is trying to kill you. You'll have less time for DPS. This is just meant to make it easy. Hopefully everything in this video was straightforward and helpful to anyone trying to do this boss fight. I am still an amateur at making these videos, but I wanted to get something out there that was a little bit more clear than what I had seen. Have a good day and good luck.